Hi, it's Susie from Pink Diamond Guide. How are you? I'm not here to do a reading per se today, but I really did want to look into some more key concepts that, they're not always necessarily twin flame based, but twin flames is a soul ascension journey that, and the patterns replicate for anyone who's going through an ascension journey. You don't have to be a twin flame for these patterns to play out in your life because essentially we're all here to grow and ascend. And the major arcana of tarot gives us some clues into those events. So essentially, what I know to be true is that there is cycles of events that take place in any awakening journey. And essentially, there's seven that I've come to understand really, really clearly. And by and large, what we do, we tend to go through the first 4 points of ascension over and over again until we truly move into new levels. But kind of what I wanted to reflect on today, and why I use the tarot for these journeys, is that the tarot does reflect these stations. We have these events playing out in the way that the tarot, the major arcana in particularly, these are, arcana literally means mysteries, and the major arcana is the major unpacking of events in life. Um, like I said, the reason that these are important is we're all here on an ascension journey. The reason that you manifest on the planet is to grow your soul's awareness for where you head back to in the afterlife. The whole point of the journey is to come to understand yourself better. Twin flames, they choose the soul ascension journey through the major arcana events, such as the lovers, wherever the lovers shows up in this particular deck. But they're moving through those soul ascension journeys, understanding multiple facets of love with the ideal to birth the new archetype that is, descending upon the planet. We're here to help lift that energy up. And our reward, the payoff for this, doesn't always show up in this lifetime. It's essentially the goal of it is that we do, when we move on to our journey into the afterlife, that's where the true reward is found, the level of heaven that you get to ascend to in the afterlife. Here in the tarot, the Fool character, the first card out in the major arcana, that is essentially us. We're standing at the baseline of our soul ascension journey with our ascension staircase out in front of us, and the only destination, there is no actual finish line. The only destination is to get through all the stations of the major arcana till you get to the point of the world where you graduate from these series of lessons so that you may move on to the next. There's never a final destination. These lessons, just as soon as you think you know what it is that you think you know, if you rest and you don't continue pushing on your ascension journey, you will just reset it through the same lessons that you've just been through until you figure it out. The point is to learn and grow and lift that baseline energy that you hold as a soul being. So essentially, the reason why I love the tarot in working with a soul ascension journey, particularly a twin flame journey, is how relevant these stations are for the processes that we go through. So, like I said, essentially, there's 22 cards here, right? But I essentially see seven stations of ascension that feel really, really relevant. Um, and I'm going to have a look through this. This one's a powerful one, right? It's got the event card. Now, it does come through a little further on in the deck. It's not the first card that you go through, but it's interesting that it is in the middle because essentially, like I just said, you go through this point where you're just cruising and you think that there's nothing to be worried about. There's nothing to be stressing. You're just blindly following your faith and you're moving along, you're cruising, you're trusting, you're going along. You think you've got it figured out. The tower comes along as an event process. Now, the tower will push us into an energy where things feel like they're breaking down to break us through. And it is under that event energy that we learn to understand that the purpose of the journey is to learn and grow. If everything was just traveling, if we went through all of our lives and nothing ever tripped us up, challenged us, pushed us into a position of learning and growing, we would never ascend. The negative and the positive are all existing there for us to move through this journey in life for the number one purpose, to learn and grow. Okay, from this event, there is a level of breaking down, right? Of feeling like everything's going wrong, like everything's misunderstood, like you're way out of alignment with life, and that you just can't get a fix. It's the time when we swim in our emotions and we're sitting in that phase of feeling things to the maximum degree. Now you can sit in that energy field for as long as you choose, or you can choose to acknowledge the energy, acknowledge the pain, acknowledge the habit, acknowledge whatever is playing out in this moment, and move through the energy to a point where you understand that it has a purpose and it's not the emotion that we want to reside in, but the understanding of the reason the event happened. So we can sit in that breakdown energy, as long as, and it can become you. It can be the reason that you become depressed. It can be the reason that you can't show up to your job. It can be the reason you don't want to connect with your family. The longer you sit in that broken energy and swim in the emotion, the more it becomes who you are, and the harder it is to kick you back into a space of neutral energy. But at some point, the universe will want to course correct. So it will want to course correct and course correct and course correct for you to get to a point where you're moving in to a place of neutral. And we do have energies like the Chariot come along, and we do have energies like the Justice card, and we have energies like the Balance card, and energies like the Wheel of Fortune. All of these energies play out to get us into a space of where we're awakening. And they'll play out at different times in the journey, but these stations exist throughout the major arcana to get us into the points where we're awakening to the next part of the journey. We have energies like the High Priestess, who will bring us in energies between the 5D and the 3D realm to point us in the right direction of where we're meant to go. We'll be awakening into various states of consciousness depending on how far the journey we've come along. As we've got the Magician, which arrives early in the piece. The Magician arrives there with the Fool because this journey does want to transmute. Like, the whole purpose of being human is to transmute. Now, the true energy of alchemy, we can talk about it a bit flippantly sometimes in Tarot Landing, going, oh, it wants to turn lead into gold. But for that process to actually take place, for that process to actually manifest, there's so many specific formulas that need to come together for that transmutation to actually occur, to actually get you into the new state. Look at all the processes that are available in this major arcana that move us through that journey of alchemy. Even the devil shows up there, going, what level of forces are playing at you from the world that's asking you to move and grow and change? It's when we get into that awakened state that we start to look more into the depths of these kinds of energies that ask the question, why am I here? What am I meant to learn? What am I meant to grow out of? And depending on what level of awakening is occurring is the level that you arrive at. Now, here's the kicker. That's the next station, arrival. So we get to number 4 in our little journey here, arriving at a destination. So wherever you've arrived in the scenario, and you've had your journey through the major arcana and the stations that have played out to get you to the point where you're at the world energy. And the energy of the world, it's the last card in the major arcana, and it literally is about a point of graduation or a point of arrival. And I sometimes equate it to like a tradesman who now has all of their tools, or a surgeon who has everything needed to operate. When you move to the energy of the world, it is quite literally a process of graduation. But here's the kicker. in how these ascension journeys play out. If you rest on your laurels at this point, Spirit is going to pull the rug out from underneath you, because this is not a destination. It's actually a transition point. So you can either, from this point of graduation, understand that you have hit the journey again where, I've lost him now, where we're back at the journey of the Fool. He's in there somewhere. There he is. No. Oh, I'm sorry. See, he's hidden. He doesn't want to start the journey again. There we go. We're back at the journey of the Fool, where we're now moving up to the next level of our journey, and we're going to start to move through the next couple of stations that I want to talk about. Or if you don't have the fire in your belly at this point to understand that everything that you've just been through has only brought you back to the start, and that you want to learn the next layer of ascension, you'll actually go back through the lessons. So you'll have that energy of an event, something that wants to take you down, something that wants to challenge you, something that wants to push you into it could be a state of chaos, wants to push you into a storm, wants to push you into a state where it puts you back at the starting line of the lessons you've just been through. So you'll repeat the journey until you understand the lesson. Or here's option B. You arrive at the destination and you graduated, and you know that you're going to be the Fool again. Are you going to be the Fool that moves your way through the next layer of ascension, or are you going to be the Fool that goes back through the lessons you've already learnt? Both options are on the table. So we've just gone through what the initial journey is. Let's look at where we are moving forward. Station number 5 is like it's a space where you actually ferment the lessons, right? And sometimes it can represent as being in something of a dark night of the soul. So it's like I've arrived at where I need to be, but there's still something empty about the process. There's something empty about what it is that I've just been through. This is the point where you start to understand and get into going, I'm grateful for the lessons that I've just been through. What have I learned? So it's not that, lessons are going to pour on your head and it's going to be, a brand new cycle of events, but you're definitely going to have to ferment what you've learned and get it to a point where it's a brew. It's a brew of, I went through that, this is what I learned. I went through that, this is what I learned. I went through that, this is what I learned. So it sits in that space, and it can feel lonely in this space. It can feel challenging. It can feel like, oh my gosh, I've come all this way just to arrive at this point, and I don't know where to from here. But it's asking Spirit to put a fire in your belly because essentially we want to crystallize the lessons. But we don't get to the crystallization until we get to a point of truly understanding and refining. This is the bit where we refine and cut and polish. We get them to a point where we truly understand how they serve us, and we're living these principles in a daily way. And when we know they've truly crystallized is when we can use these principles to serve others. So we're at station number 4. You've arrived, right? You've arrived back at the energy of the Fool. You're about to start a new journey. Is it going to be a journey that goes up, or is it going to be a repeat journey? If you arrive at this station and you want to coast, Spirit's going to go, there is no destination. You do not get to stop. Energy is always in motion. And even though it feels nice in this space, it feels cruisy and comfortable and capable, if you don't keep pushing, Spirit will keep pushing you. So the next level, the fermenting of the ideas, where we move from that level up to level 6, is where we really want to clean it up. Okay, this is the bit where we really get to, and this process can run time and time again. So it's like putting it through a cyclic filter. Like when you're purifying your water, and you don't want to be, when it's in fermenting stage, it's still going to have a bunch of clunky energy within it that needs to go through a finer and a finer and a finer and a finer filter. So it's like we're going to stir all the energy up and have a good look at it, put it in the mix, let it let it, like you're brewing a beer and you've got all the things in the mix, but you still got to refine it before you actually drink it. You don't want to have anything, you want to have a smooth drink on the other side. So when we get to the point where we're pouring out the water that we actually want to drink, we want to make sure it's clean and tidy and not something that we're going to get caught in our teeth as we try to live it. So that idea of, um, it's like making a brew and running it through a sieve, and then we want the ideas to crystallize. We want them to be part of who we are in a day-to-day way, and that is the final station of an ascension process as I understand it. So once it gets to that point where it truly crystallizes, we're sitting in energies of these kinds, the Hierophant, and we've got the energy here of things like the Empress is an ideal of an energy that's crystallized. We could be sitting in an energy of the Lovers that have crystallized, an energy of the Star that has crystallized, but you embody the ascension lessons of where these energies lie. And the major arcana of tarot gives us some really powerful indications of where we are moving through these ascension levels. They're kind of like stations that the Fool moves through. They move through all these different levels of the journey. They move. We're the Fool. That is us in the major arcana. And every station that we have in the major arcana is a station that the Fool has visited. And then we bring in the minor arcana cards for more clarification. Forces that are playing against these major forces to give us more ideal around where these stations are at the point of ascension that you are in life. Are you sitting stuck, stagnant? Can you not get past an ideal? Do you need to be stuck in your cave while you figure things out? It gives us some real clues onto where you're sitting in these journeys. This is why they're fantastic to look at something like a twin flame soulmate journey. But you know these ascensions are playing out well outside the twin flame soulmate journey. That journey is there to trigger us into the next points of ascension. If you truly have a twin flame, they probably drive you crazy with the way they trigger you into the next phases of the journey, whether they're pushing you into how do I understand the elements of hope, how do I understand the elements of death and transformation, how do I understand the elements of karma, how do I understand the elements of nurturing, inner strength. A twin flame journey will run you through all of the stations of the major arcana, and the major arcana will give us indications of where you are sitting in the stages and in what I would call stations of an ascension journey. The question for you, and the question I would pose to all of us who are aware, who are sitting in awareness of the fact that our purpose, our sole purpose on being on the planet is to ascend our soul space. Imagine that where the afterlife sits, we've come down here from a place that you would consider an afterlife, or a life that lives, that is breathing and potent and tangible on the other side of where we are now. And we come down here fully understanding that our number one goal is to ascend wherever our station is in the heavens. We only choose to come down here and manifest on the earth plane for one of two reasons. We're either here because we want to evolve our station in the afterlife, or two, we're here to help other people evolve their stations in the afterlife. The whole point of the exercise is just to ascend. So what we're doing when we're looking at the stations of ascension, when we're moving through a life path journey, we're going, are you moving and growing, or are you stuck in a particular place? And can we get you to the point where you understand where your blocks and your challenges are, so we can move you through this point of the ascension cycle and get you onto the next phase of the journey, where your soul gets to evolve and grow and you get to bring more of the, the energy. Once you evolve and grow, you are locking into the earth plane that higher awareness, and the more that higher awareness is allowed to cement itself on the earth plane, the more that the archetype cements itself. So there's some work to do. There really is some work to do, and I just kind of wanted to give an indication as to why I use tarot to map a twin flame journey, why I use tarot to map an ascension journey, and what I'm looking for is indicators of where we are in our path of ascension. Are we going to understand these lessons and learn and grow and move and evolve? And you do not need your twin to be with you in physical union, to be able to take these ascension journeys, because remember, you're always connected, and if one's growing, the other's growing. You are affecting each other by default. But this is, you've got your job to do. You are a complete consciousness in and of yourself. So whether or not your twins' free will allow them to get on with their ascension journey or not is irrelevant. This is your journey to take. So I hope this was a little bit of valuable insight. I hope it's been helpful, to understand why the tarot plays out the way it does in relation to helping with the ascension journey. I'm going to wrap it up from there. So until we talk to you next time, in faith, hope, and love, it's bye from me for now.